from athlete to entrepreneur. Walk me through the journey. I'd love to hear your story.
It's an interesting one. A lot of people don't quite understand the transition of that. Athletes, a very difficult transition for a lot. And I'll tell you why. It's really got to do with ego. Athletes, as many people know, professional athletes have pretty big egos. What they don't know is that it's kind of a necessity. First of all, you're surrounded with people all the time who are telling you how great you are. But secondly, it's kind of part of the job. You have to believe that because you're fighting for your job all the time, especially back in the day when I played. So that transition is difficult often because now you go from kind of an immortal to just a regular person. For me, it was rather sudden. I got hurt badly. And after 6 surgeries, it was it. I just basically couldn't. I was only 25. I played 5 years. And that was the end of it. So it was a very difficult transition for me, but I was fortunate enough to be introduced to a new industry, which was the advertising world. And that was so exciting. I loved it. And so I was able to really transition very quickly into that and kind of naturally move on, not have to think about all the stuff that I'd missed and everything like that. So, but it is for most a difficult transition. I think I was one of the lucky ones and found a new career right away, which ended up being a real career of over 25 years. So that's kind of how it worked for me. As I say, I was one of the lucky ones.
So when you played hockey, I think it was hockey, right? That's
Yes,
what it was,
yes,
right?
I was a professional.
So who did you play for? What was your position?
First of all, I modeled my game after Bobby Orr, who most still think it was the greatest that ever played. And so I was a rushing defenseman. I went and played rather than playing the minors, where when you get drafted and signed a contract, that's where they put you back then anyway. So I went to the Swedish NHL, the Swedish Elite League, it was called back then. And I went there honestly because the Swedish players that were coming here, still are coming here, are obviously superstars. And so I wanted to play against that level, which I wasn't going to get in the minors. So I went there and ended up signing a deal on my 4th year over there with the Vancouver Canucks. And then coming back here, that's when I got hurt. And then it was just after 6 surgeries, it was like you're not going to be able to play anymore. So it was like that. So the majority of my career was spent in Europe, in Swedish Elite League, but more importantly, all over Europe. So I got to play in Russia and Czechoslovakia. It was a real experience, and as I said, the hockey was great.
Do you speak Swedish?
I'm fluent in Swedish.
Great.
Yes. Yes.
Because I did my and it's very interesting. I did my first podcast today, bilingual podcast, where I was speaking English and the guest was speaking Spanish. It was quite interesting.
Okay. Yeah. No, I decided to learn because when I first went over there, people were screaming and hollering at me, of course, on the ice, and I didn't know what they were saying. And so, I had to go over to the bench and ask the guys, well, what did he say? And when they told me, I wasn't too pleased about it. And so I thought, well, if I'm going to stay here, I think it's a good idea to learn it. So I actually went to school during the day to learn it.
Well, you did a professional learning, like you went to school.
I went to the Stockholm University. I went to actually take it because I wanted to learn it quickly. I mean, I was immersed there, but you learn it some way. But I wanted to learn. I wanted to be able to read, write the whole bit. So I did that because I had some time during the day, of course, playing.
Absolutely.
So I could kind of pick and choose my places. So I learned it very quickly. So by the end of the first year, I was pretty good at it, and then it just got better from there. So.
Well, good for you. And you know what? This talks about how people immerse in themselves in other cultures.
Yeah.
And like a lot of times people refuse to do that, but for those who go with the flow and immerse themselves in the culture, there's a lot of benefits to that. You learn another language, you know another culture, you open eyes on various things.
For sure. I'll tell you something else, Robin. For me, I've always done this, and maybe it's my upbringing. My mom was was pretty special person. But no matter where I'm going, I will learn language. I will learn words from that language. It's the obvious ones. Please, thank you. Those things. And so, I can say that in many languages whenever if I'm visiting a country, wherever it is. Obviously, we visit a lot of Spanish countries, so I can speak quite a few words in there. But I just think it's, I mean, we're in their country. I mean, let's respect it a little bit. Let's at least be able to converse with them a little bit and let them know
Yeah,
that we're,
100%.
we're thankful.